doing anything. But when we go to Phoenix, I mean, it just seems to be going further and further.
Yeah, and that's only one of two that I think they're building out there. The other one's gonna be farther south and farther east. The guy said it's hundreds of acres out there.
180 acres.
Of course, we do have a lot of sunshine, but, come on.
Yeah, but we're killing ecosystems because every mountain range is an island of
Yeah.
an ecosystem that only exists unto itself.
Right,
The
right.
lizards and snakes and stuff, and we're we're ruining their habitat.
And moving them somewhere else. Well, why are there bears in my backyard? Because you built your house in the forest? Why are there raccoons on my house?
Middle of
Because
the
you're living
desert,
in the
but it's
woods?
really not. I mean, it's not the middle of the desert.
Yeah, he can sit right there. He doesn't have to get up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're good.
We're good? We have a quorum?
I'm like, oh. Where the rest of my peeps
Crew.
are, but
This chair is a little low. Do these raise up?
yes, they do. And Marion
It's
sits on the
4
floor.
o'clock, so we're going to call to order the meeting of the public hearing of the Planning and Zoning Commission. If everyone will turn off their electronic devices, and we'll have the roll call of the board.
Chairman Marshall,
Here.
Vice Chair Hartmetz, absent. Member Robinson,
Here.
Member May,
Here,
Member LaPresti, absent. Member Hartless.
Here.
Member Petzartrip.
Present.
Right, this is our public hearing. Our first item of discussion is the 2018 International Building Codes.
Good morning. So, a little background on this information. The building related technical mode codes are usually done on a 3-year cycle. We are on 2006. We're a little behind. They're usually done by the International Building Code Committee. And that committee is made up of builders, firemen, more firemen, and then a few architects and people thrown in there. Our codes really are influenced heavily by the fire industry, which is good and bad. It is. It is, that organization has requirements for like public safety, health, general welfare, structural means of egress and ingress, stability, sanitation, the energy conservation, just everything that goes around the life of building, not only homes, but any other structure that we have. The county and Quartzsite have adopted the 2018 codes. And those are the ones that, they're not the newest and the latest and the greatest, but coming from 2006, we really don't want to go to 2023. That's a huge leap. And they have found in the 2023, some changes that really need to be addressed in that one. And so most everybody is going to the 2018 or already has gone there. We will be asking you to adopt not only the international building codes for residential and two-family dwellings, but also the electrical code. And now with the electrical code, they're always 1 year behind. Why, I'm not really sure, but they are. They're whatever. So theirs is the 2017 edition. And then your mechanical code, your plumbing code, fire code, extended building code, fuel and gas code, and the international property maintenance code. There is also a international swimming pool and spa code now for 2018 because that's become a really hot topic. It's always been kind of in with the other codes, but they've really put some heavy emphasis on those here lately. Pretty much, I'm open for questions. Chad Swanson is here. He's our building official. He kind of put all this together for us. There are a few things in here that we had to tweak to make it fit best in our area, because these are written. Typically, how this works is they're written back east. That's where this whole thing, and once there's a big disaster, a flood, a huge fire, all of a sudden, that's where you're gonna see the heavy code change. You know, not always a good idea, not always a good thing, but that's kind of where you see that heavy change. And then a couple of years, well, 3 years later, they go, oh yeah, we kind of overdid that one, and they either back it off or they add to it. And that's kind of how those things typically work. But we have given you kind of a packet, should you choose to read through it, of just a little bit of the, things that have changed. There's not like a book full, obviously, but there is quite a few changes. And typically our building construction crews here typically build to the 18 now anyway, even though we're on the 2006, because that's just where they have to build everywhere else.
And I think after the county adopted the 2018 IBC, they pretty much set it in motion for everybody to get on the same page. They've been using it for, a year now or so?
Right out of year.
Yeah, because I hear cases for the county and community development, and people are just complaining that, well, this is different, there really isn't that much different. There were a few
really
amendments, but only because technology has changed, the power grid has changed, water purification and et cetera has changed. I went through, I've gone through it a couple times, and I didn't really see anything significant that would impact
not.
the way the town is doing business or plans to, as far as I can tell, planning to do business.
There's really not. Like I said, most of the builders here in town and the ones that come from outside of town to build here already use the 2018. Some of them are on the 2023 already, especially in the bigger cities. They grouse about it and they thank us very much when they find out we're not there yet.
I also think when they decided to get with the county building codes, they realized that the same codes are gonna be shared by the town anyway, so get ahead of the game.
That, and Courtside just went to this as well.
Right.
So all three, and that helps. Yes.
So, well, I read it. Now, if you give me a test on it, I'd probably get a D, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I did see a lot of where, okay, we're gonna omit this and put this in there and that in there. So I kind of just skimmed through it. So, I was thinking, you guys are the experts, you're the ones who put this together, so I'm gonna trust you on what you're saying and how we have to do this. My question is this like on a go-forward basis? I mean, what about people who have older houses? Do we fall under this? And the reason I piqued my interest is because I do have a pool, and that's where I
No.
highlighted, and I'm up to code, but I know there are pools around here that aren't up to code. And so my question is do we,
So what happens is, in that scenario, is you're fine as long as you keep your pool the way it is. But the minute you decide that you're going to do a big upgrade, or you're gonna take that pool out and put another pool in, then that's when the new ones
that's when
kick
we
in.
have to go there.
But as long as you're staying where you're at, there's no reason for us to make you do anything. Or, so if you have a house, and you're only remodeling 2 rooms in it, we're not gonna make you bring the whole house up to code. Those 2 rooms are gonna have to be up to code, but the rest of your house it is what it is.
Grandfathered.
Of course, that's correct.
We don't use that word.
Don't like that word.
At the time it was built, it was up to code.
It was,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
we call that,
Legacy.
legally non-conforming. Because it was legal when you did it.
But now it is not.
Now
I was
it's
gonna
not
say, I haven't seen
conforming.
this much marijuana and paperwork since the last time I got arrested.
Well, that's the next,
That's a
that's the
different-
next item.
It's a different item.
Alleged. but I
That's
was
the
arrested.
next item, so.
So, okay.
Yeah,
that
I
was
don't have any questions. I'm with her. I agree that people go to that much work to make this work for us and for the community. It's like when I do plea bargains, the attorneys sit down, they hammer something out. Who am I to question what they did or why they did it? I say, okay, I either sign it or I don't. Same thing with this, you have a certain amount of trust, because even if I did read this whole thing, there are a lot of stuff that I don't understand, but I get the gist of why it's being done. I don't have a problem with it.
I really heavy, like I said, when there's a big disaster, back east is typically when you're gonna see some real heavy changes. And then, or some fire captain somewhere gets a bug, and then all of a sudden, you have a million firefighters at one of these hearings.
Sure.
Is there any other discussion regarding the 2018 International Building Codes?
I have one question. Just because we change or alter one doesn't mean it affects another one, right? There's no, like, hidden, basically, no bookstores and smut stuff can still be, right? Like Bullhead has adult bookstores and stuff like that. and I
So
don't
that's under zoning, but currently this is just building codes.
think- Okay,
So this is just building
I
codes.
just don't like
Yeah.
that stuff. So I don't think Parker should have something like that.
Right. And that's what I got out of it too. It's structural in nature. It's building codes. It isn't necessarily zoning or
No, your next
allowing
item
a
will
certain
be,
kind of
right,
business. Yeah.
your next one will be zoning, but this one is strictly building codes, your electrical codes, those kind of.
Were you looking for a motion, Ms. Marshall?
We're just making a recommendation? Is that
right now, this
correct?
is just a
Or
public
just a
hearing.
discussion? Public
Yep.
hearing, yes.
This
Okay.
is just a
Yeah.
public hearing right now.
Okay.
And then when we come out of the public hearing and we go into our actual meeting, then that's when we'll need a,
Are there any members of the public that would like to make any comments? Seeing no one
There'll be
jump
a bunch
up.
of people here cheering us on.
We'll move to the public hearing item 2, discussion regarding the text amendment to Town of Parker, Arizona Municipal Code Title 10, zoning Chapter 7, Commercial Zoning District Section 10-7-2, permitted uses, Chapter 8, Industrial Zoning District, Section 10-8-2, permitted uses, Chapter 11, General Provisions, Section 10-11-18, medical marijuana uses, and Chapter 18, Appendices, Section 10-18-1, Appendix A, definitions all related to allowing recreational marijuana establishments in the town's C2 and I1 zoning districts.
so in your packet, you have two ordinances. One of them is with your packet, the other one is stapled separate. The one that's stapled separate is the newest and the greatest. When I was going through the one that the attorney sent back to me for revisions, several months ago, we had a work session with council, and one of the things, there was a couple things in there that they wanted changed from our original ordinance. Many years ago, when medical marijuana first came out, we could have two in our COG, which COG is what we call our district. It's, so one was put in Quartzsite, I think, and one was put upriver in the county. Since then, they've both kind of closed and reorganized and done the things. At that time, we had it in both C2 and in industrial. And then in 2000 and, I want to say 18, 19, when we realized that this was really going to move forward in the recreational side of things, we redid our ordinance, and it went to just industrial. Now, and we took it out of the commercial district. Now we've kind of reorganized and we've kind of seen where things are gonna go, how things are gonna go, and It's obviously passed for recreational now. Quartzsite has 2. We still can only have 2 in our COG, whether they be 2 medical, 2 dual purpose, which is the medical plus the recreational, or just pure recreational, the way the law reads now. So now we're looking at kind of bringing us all up to, again, up to date with the rest of the country. And we would like to put it back into both C2 and light industrial. There are some things in here. So most of this stays, most of the ordinance stays the same, or the codes stay the same, other than it now said, instead of medical marijuana, it says marijuana facility or.
Recreational marijuana.
Right. A dual license are the big words that they're using now. We had it where it needed to be 500 feet from schools and libraries, and 500 feet from residential, and 500 feet from churches and those things. And that's still state statute, other than residential. And state statute has gone down on that to 250. So we would like to, that's the biggest change. This is pretty much follows state statute exactly, if you go look at it, other than, you know, there's a couple of things in here, I think, I'm trying to remember here off the top of my head, without going through every one of these, where the square foot of the location needs to be 1,000 square feet. The maximum can't be any over 3,000 square feet. For the footprint of the building. There's a couple of things in here on the grow stuff of that, but we don't have any buildings in town that would ever fall into that kind of scenario. Fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, we may in Parker South someday, but they would have to also, the state would have to give more license out. And right now, that doesn't look like it's gonna happen.
So is that COG thing still, like if there's 2 in Quartzsite,
So one
there's
of
no
them,
eligibility for here?
correct.
What does COG mean, COG?
It's the.
It's an acronym or something.
Yes, it is. It's the acronym for WACOG.
Council of Governments.
Council of Governments.
Yeah, Council of Government.
Oh, I thought it was a reference to how many. Said COG 2.
Well, 2 COGs. So, I mean, in our COG,
Okay.
they only allow 2 facilities.
Is it geographical based or is it population
No, it's
based?
geographic.
Because Quartzsite obviously is 36 square miles.
So La Paz County is a COG.
Yeah.
And so we can only have 2 within La Paz County.
Oh, in the whole county? Oh,
That's why when it first came out and it was medical, you had one down there and you had one all the way up
Right,
river. And then the one up river
closed.
definitely failed. Partly because of where the location was and partly because it was just mismanaged, but you're correct that there are 2 in Quartzsite and
Okay.
for the
I
moment.
just know I sat at a meeting and there were some people here that wanted to bring something and that's what is that what's the catalyst for this whole thing, correct? Other than, yes, we should be doing it, but it's a catalyst is what my
Trying to get
understanding
ahead of it.
is.
Yeah.
So that's why you're,
But at that same meeting, I thought that they said they would not do any growing.
They did.
Okay.
They will, in the town, there's nowhere that we can have a grow, because it all has to be grown inside. So,
so if we pass this would just be in case one of the COGs go away and if we
One of-
wanted
one
to
of-
entertain the idea. we'd be set.
If
I
one
think
of-
there's,
If one of the dispensaries in Quartzsite decided that they might want to move,
Oh, okay, then that would be the
that's
reason.
probably what's happening.
Okay, because, well, because I
Read the lines, did you?
Because I remember having a conversation with one of the supervisors, La Paz County supervisors, and the reason it was brought up was because when I was a fiduciary, I had a wonderful property up to River that I thought would make a great dispensary. I really did, and I was trying to sell it to the county. And the supervisor said something about growing, that the way it is, they had set the statute so high that it would never, ever qualify for La Paz County to have one of these. But then all of a sudden, two pop up in Quartzsite, so I was confused.
so the way that the county's code reads is that you have to have a grow operation before you can have a dispensary. State statute is exactly the opposite. So you either do a grow facility and that's all you do, state statute, or if you want to do a combination, then you have to have your grow established and then you can do your dispensary, or you can just do a dispensary. So there's a few ways you can go, but the county is maybe a little bit backwards.
And then my other question, I have a couple actually. So is this, would we be in conflict being that we're surrounded by the tribes? And I mean, I know marijuana's legal for states, but it's still illegal for feds.
That is
So would that be any conflict, or the tribes, I guess, are they gonna have a fit over it, or
Well,
how would that work?
I don't know if they'll have a fit over it or not.
You know,
If
like-
it is on deeded property, they unfortunately don't have a lot of say what goes on deeded property.
Pretty much.
They do have a huge say in what goes on their,
Within their boundaries.
within their boundaries as far as, here in town. I can guarantee you that it will not be going on a tribal lot here in town, because they haven't moved forward in that direction. There are some tribes here in Arizona that they do have a dispensary on their land. But with that being said, there's some stipulations how they got to where they're at. And unfortunately, Crit's not there yet. And that doesn't mean that they won't be soon or someday, but right now, they're not.
Different priorities right now.
Who's giving them money?
Exactly.
Who's funding them?
Who?
If they're really heavily federally funded and they're cooperating, then they don't want to not cooperate. But the ones that aren't so much, go ahead and just did their own thing.
And my belief has been, and I'm not saying this is such a bad thing, but, look at Parker, this tribe here has a casino. How many native-owned casinos are in Phoenix? Or up on I-40 along the res? That's where the money is. That's probably what is funding the push to have marijuana dispensaries and marijuana grow operations, because they have a steady flow of income where they can put the money out to build that and then recoup their money in the end game. Of course, it's just rumor and speculation that that's why they're doing it now, but it doesn't really matter because it's not going to affect us either way. I see us as an island within another island,
And they're not a treaty tribe either. This is an executive order tribe, so they're different.
And I will say that I have talked to several of the council members for the tribe. Just personal one-on-one, just to kind of see how much pushback I'm really gonna get. And I don't see a lot.
I don't either.
They're like, it's here,
Live with it.
it's legal, it's probably going to soon be federally legal. I mean, that's just kind of the way everybody's looking at it. Whether it really happens, I don't know. But, I mean, right now, we've got more bigger fish to fry than
For sure.
this,
Um,
so.
Is it, because we're going to be following the state stuff, you're saying, basically.
Yes.
So is it taxable?
Yes.
And so it's going to be profitable for our town?
Yes.
Because we need it,
Yes.
especially after, anyway.
Yes.
So,
We do.
Yes. So it'll be the same, it'll be 2% sales tax on that, and then there's some other taxes in there that will get fed back to us as well.
I
But
wouldn't say it's a big moneymaker at this point, though.
but it could be.
It could be properly run and properly managed, sure.
Oh,
Because-
it'll be a big moneymaker.
but not right now. But like you say, where in this town, in Parker or Parker South, do we have the infrastructure to have an enclosed grow house, agricultural house that had completely enclosed, water, light, electricity, cooling, heating? Somebody would have to step up and build a
Oh, they
big
will.
building.
If
They
you
will.
build it, they will
Oh, I'm
come.
sure they will. Yes, I
Chop
absolutely
every
agree.
bit.
Somebody will step up, but it's not gonna be today or tomorrow, you know? And I don't have a feeling one way or the other about marijuana. I personally don't use it, but I
Are
don't
the-
care if other people do.
Are the other dispensaries growing?
No.
No, that's what I'm saying, because that's what the county said. He said he made it impossible because the growth had to be outside of the county. So it wouldn't, that's not even, it's not gonna be a growth here. We're just talking about opening a dispensary place, whether it's gonna be recreational or medical or both.
Whether it's, well, it will end up being both.
Yeah, it'll be
Where,
both.
right now, what we're talking about is, where do we want it? Do we want it in industrial where we have it now? Or do we want it in industrial and also in commercial?
I think
What's the
one
most
of the
profitable?
things to consider is that we have very little industrial zoned
Correct.
property that's privately owned in
Within
our
the
town of Parker proper.
Within the town limits.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the bigger reasons that we want to, add back that commercial piece to it.
Choices.
For choices, and then, but we want to put some restrictions on there too, because we don't want it next door to the school or,
The daycare or the church or where the
Daycare
kids are
or-
hanging out.
or where they're selling alcohol, or, I mean, there's a lot of places that we don't want them, so that's why we've put in
Restrictions.
those kinds of restrictions. And the states has the same feelings, because they very much put those in there as well.
I don't have a problem with inclusivity.
Is there anyone from the public that wants to make any comment? Right. Then, if everyone's ready, we could adjourn the public meeting at 4:24 and call to order the regular meeting. Do we need to do another roll call? Okay, let's do it.
I'll be quick. Chairman Marshall,
Here.
Vice Chair Hartmetz, absent. Member Robinson.
Here.
Member May.
Sure.
Member LaPresti, absent. Member Hartless.
Here.
Member Petzarchuk.
Present.
All right, now we have our item number 1, the discussion and action to approve or deny the recommendation to the town council to adopt the 2018 International Building Codes. Motion,
Motion, we accept the 2018 International Building Codes as presented by the town clerk and the town council.
I'll second that motion.
it's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? If none, then all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. And we have item number 2 is to approve or deny the recommendation to the town council to amend the zoning code to allow recreational marijuana establishments in the town's C2 and I1 zoning districts.
I'll motion to accept or to approve the amended code violation to accept marijuana establishments in town C2 and I1 zoning districts.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. And now we have a discussion or action to approve or deny our meeting minutes of November 26, 2024.
I so move.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries. And now we have a community update.
Oh, yay. Not a whole lot going on. I say that tongue in cheek, because we are working diligently on trying to get our wastewater treatment plant moving. We have accepted a couple of, been awarded a couple of grants, applications for that. Not nearly enough money, but we are in talks with the tribe to get our agreement in order to, as we all know, the treatment plant sits on tribal land. Joint venture is not a regulatory government, so they can't apply for grants themselves. So it's kind of up to us and also the tribe to come up with those funds. We're looking at about a about a $20 million plant, which that only does the plant. It does nothing else. It doesn't do any outside work, any lifts that we might need. We have a lot of pipe here in town that needs to be replaced. That doesn't give any of those. Senator Kelly was out 2 weeks ago and met with us and met with the tribe. We had a very nice conversation between all of us. And I believe right now, we're in a really good spot where we're actually all working together. I'm pretty amazed and pretty happy with what the outcome of that. I've talked with a couple of our grant applications, and we need an agreement with the tribe that says that we're going to work together, and we still have 13 years on the one that we have now, but it was made in 1969 with only 4 amendments to it, so it's very old and it doesn't really fit what we're doing here today. So we've agreed on a lot of things that we would like to see changed with joint venture and how that's kind of run and managed. We are a lot closer to agreeing on all of those things than we were when we started. We really felt like they knew a whole lot more than we did, and they felt like we knew a whole lot more than they did about the joint venture whole situation. All of our council members have gone and taken a tour, and I will offer that to you guys as well if you'd like to go down and tour that mess. I can just get a hold of me and we will go do a mess. It's very enlightening. It was meant to be a 25-year plant. We're going on almost 50 years with it, with no major upkeep.
Well, not only that, it was built before the casino, the hotels, some more houses, apartment complex,
Was built back then for a larger capacity
They probably
than what we
capacity
had.
the lots that we had.
Capacity that
I
we
would hope.
had, but we've outgrown even that. So, and then not having the, upkeep that it was really necessary has put a huge strain on things. So, they're doing the best they can with what they have right now. We've taken, as the town council has taken the initiative to put the building moratorium on right now. It hurts. I've got properties in town that I'd like to sell, but
Don't build on it.
yeah. but I think we're getting there. We didn't get here overnight, and we're not gonna get it fixed overnight, but it's coming. If there's a major fail, we now have a protocol in place, and, which we didn't have before, apparently. But we do now. So they have, and we did have to use that. One of the big ponds a couple of weeks ago, well, it's been 3 weeks or so ago when we had the big storm. Up until then, we didn't realize that 2 drains or storm drains here in town actually
Go down there.
go down there. So that will be fixed shortly. But with all of that rain, we did have to use one of the ponds. They're also going to be doing a rate study here, should be getting here started pretty soon. That has not been done in a professional one done. I can't even begin to
number of
tell you
years.
how long that's been.
Probably a while, but they have had rate hikes
Yes.
They have,
Yeah.
there's a difference between rate hikes
and
and
rate study. Oh, I agree.
studies.
I agree.
And that rate study really gives you the ideas of where you can, where you need to spend your money and where
Where you can get the money.
where you get it. And that's what a lot of our grants are looking for. Where's your study? How are you gonna pay some of this back? Are we, giving just kind of a down a dark hole, or what are we doing here?
Well, I know Senator Kelly was here in town
Yes.
with his crew, or I don't know.
Was.
And I know that the mayor had a meeting with him to talk about the sewer. So did they offer any solutions or any, like, promises or?
So that's kind of what, and the tribe was here as well. We had 4 of their council members here as well. We met actually right here in this office, so that was kind of nice. We don't typically get that luxury. And they did not give us definite answers. They gave us some suggestions as how to go about it, but they're really waiting to see if we're gonna be able to play ball together. That's really what it is, because they don't want to fund anything just for the town or just for the tribe. They really want us to play ball together.
And what was your feel for the outcome? How did you feel? Good? Did you feel good, bad, or indifferent about it?
No, I think we had a really great meeting. I think we came out of that, both sides ready to work together. In fact, before we left, we scheduled another meeting, which will happen next week. And in that time, I hope they have actually worked on, I know they have, actually worked on what they needed to feel better about getting this agreement closer together. I've gathered some information that they didn't have. So we'll have all of that to put together. And I'm hoping that in the very near future, we can get that agreement signed and moving. Once we have that agreement, I will turn that over to WACOG and then also WIFA. And then we have $5 million to work with immediately, which will get us started on the design. What they have kind of picked is an out-of-the-box kind of design down there. So that certainly helps with engineering. However, it still has to be designed for that particular site. So there will be some engineering and that kind of thing, site-specific on those. But that'll cut down some of the engineering, not only costs, but time, because engineering can take a long time. They're telling us with this particular design that we've kind of decided to go with, from when the first shovel hits the ground, it's about 18 months, which is actually pretty quick. I will tell you that court sites took almost 3 years once the first shovel hit the ground.
So are they looking at also extending the end of contract? Is it like up in 13 years? Are they gonna
Well,
move?
that, our agreement, we're hoping our agreement is up in 13 years, and yes, we will extend that, once we come up with a new one. We also, joint venture pays a lease on that piece of property, and that lease is up in 13 years. That's the part that is really sticky for the tribe.
Mhm.
They own the land that's being leased that they're paying part of. Is that correct? Since it's down the
Yes.
hill, they own.
The tribe
The
owns-
joint venture is paying a lease fee to the tribes
Correct.
on their land.
Correct. So, and I'm not as worried about the lease being extended, and neither is WIFA. It's that agreement between the two of us that is the most important. Will we at some point get an agreement for a new lease? Yes. Is it gonna be 50 years again? Absolutely not. The tribe is not gonna do it. I wouldn't do a 50-year lease. You wanna look at those leases every 10 to 20 years, on big projects like that. And what has happened, over the years, when Parker was first developing and the tribe was first getting things moving, that was their way of getting developers in here and getting their land developed, was they were giving these people 50-year leases. And as you can see right now, a lot of those are coming to an end. The Big Rivers, the Blue Water Lagoon, some of the other ones on the other side. So what they did with the 50-year leases, they got the developers in here and got it moving. And now they're taking a look at, well, we don't really want to do the 50-year now. It's sort of developed anyway. So how do we go about, what's best for not only the tribe, but the land and all of that? When that was built down there, there was nothing there. There was no houses, there was no farming, there was within a very large space from the plant. Now there's several fields, several houses, and so they're looking at, do they take those leases of land back so the farmland isn't there anymore? Is it okay for it to be there? Those are all the things that they're kind of looking at now. So we'll see in the next couple of, it'll be telling in the next couple of weeks how fast this actually gets moving. The joint venture manager that was there for a short minute is now gone. So we have a new one. I will tell you, she is wonderful. She knows that plant inside and out. She's learning the office stuff. But she's got some good helpers over there, so I think we're moving in a really good direction with that. I feel a lot better knowing that they have a plan now, and we can have an actual plant here within probably 72 hours. So, if needed. So that helps. We haven't had a,
Case of an emergency, is that what you mean? Okay. Thank you.
other than that, we really, it's pretty quiet right now. We're in the summer and here we are.
It's not even hot yet.
Not even. On your.
Question.
Well, no, I have a question about another community update. The apartment complex, the old Kofa Arms down there, how is that coming along?
They are moving, not as quickly as I'd like them to, but they are moving. They are moving faster than they did with 505 Kofa, so.
And what's the deal down there? Is anybody even living there yet?
I don't believe so. The hospital bought that.
Oh, did they?
Mhm.
They're probably gonna use it for housing for their employees.
I would say, but I
They
don't
bought the
know.
bank, they might as well own the whole block down there,
So.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I digress again.
those are the two big things.
Two big things. Okay,
In
that's all,
town.
that's all I got.
All right. Any other questions for Nora? If not, we'll have call to the public. in case the public wants to say anything again. And with no public here, we can move for adjournment at 4:44. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
New date for the next meeting, or just decide what has
As
to come up
needed.
and then as needed?
As needed.
I love those.